Hello, it's time for another episode of It's Not About You. We've been working through a handful of scriptures proving to ourselves that even our salvation is not about us. Yes, we do benefit from it. We get to spend an eternity with Jesus Christ, but we are in that relationship to bring glory to God. Do we have that focus? And I would tell you that we have to have that focus. As a matter of fact, Paul recorded it this way in Galatians 5:14. He says there, "For the entire law is fulfilled in keeping this one command." Now think of his audience. We're having a handful of Jews as well as some Gentiles that have spent their whole life trying to fulfill the law, the 613 laws. And Jesus says this to them. He says, all that you've done in the past is a mute point. We have to, the entire law is fulfilled up in one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. And one of them responds, well, who is my neighbor? And I would tell you that we live in a day and age today when we don't even know our neighbors' names, let alone their needs. And I'm not pointing a finger at you guys. I'm pointing the finger right back at myself. I've had a couple who moved in across the street. I haven't even spoken to them. If they walked up to me on the street, I wouldn't know who they are. And that's a shame. Do we treat people as our neighbors? Do we understand their needs? Do we love them as we love ourselves? And I would tell you, that's become harder and harder to do. When I was a kid, I knew who all my neighbors were. I knew who all their kids were. We all hung out together. This seems to be this social networking thing that we have going on is making us antisocial. We don't spend time with our neighbors. We don't know our neighbors. We don't know their needs. And I would tell you that that's a failure within us, especially when Jesus says the entire law can be summed up in this one command. We've got to get to know our neighbors again. We've got to be pouring in, and we've got to be having some conversations together. And that's a challenge. That's a challenge not only to you guys, but it is to me too. Do we know our neighbors, and are we pouring in? Because that's what Jesus said is the most important thing. If we poured into our neighbors the way we pour into our churches, what kind of neighbors would we have? What kind of neighborhoods would we have? And I would tell you, it would change our world if we just went home and talked to our neighbors. So, for It's Not About You, my name is Pastor Bob Benson. I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this today.